The story picks up from the final episode of Season 4. Lin Dong emerged victorious against the Lin clan prodigy, Lin Langtian, during the clan's assembly, earning the right to choose a spirit treasure from the clan treasure. In the deepest recesses of the treasury, Lin Dong unexpectedly gained control of a mysterious spirit treasure, the Heavy Prison Peak, which even the clan elders couldn't wield. This treasure held the power to suppress all things. When the four elders tried to frame Lin Dong, he not only skillfully defused the situation, but also defeated them with astonishing strength. With the intervention of the Lin clan's leader, Lin Fan, the rivalry between Lin Dong and Lin Langtian escalated. They would settle their score in the seed selection of the Hundred Dynasty War, where the winner would become the true heir of the Lin clan. News of the events outside the clan treasure spread like wildfire throughout the entire Lin clan. When all the clan members heard Lin Fan's words, they were unanimously shocked. It was clear that Lin Fan understood the irreconcilable grudge between Lin Dong and Lin Langtian, and he had to choose one of them. This choice would be determined in the seed selection. Whoever could secure a spot would instantly gain the full support of the Lin clan, whether it was Lin Langtian or Lin Dong. If that moment truly came, the other would face a rather bleak fate. Everyone knew that this seed selection would also determine who would truly become the Lin clan's favored son of heaven and laugh to the end. In a secluded courtyard of the clan, a group of people gathered, with soft laughter echoing around. These people included Lin Jintian, Lin Xiao, and others. "Donger, did you clash with Lin Langtian again?" Lin Xiao asked as he looked at Lin Dong, who stood before him in the stone pavilion. "He harbors extreme resentment towards me. Even if I don't provoke him, he won't let me off," Lin Dong replied with a light smile. "In 2 days, I'll follow clan leader Lin Fan to the capital for the seed selection. Father, are you planning to stay in the clan or return to Yin City? I've discussed it with your grandfather and the others. Though the clan is powerful, it doesn't suit us. So after you leave, we'll return to Yin City," Lin Xiao said with a faint smile. Lin Dong nodded. The clan was filled with intricate factions, and he wasn't entirely comfortable leaving Lin Xiao and the others here. While Yin City couldn't compare to Lin City, it was at least stable. There, the Lin family of Yin City had established a solid foundation, and he believed they would fare better than here. "You'll likely be away for a long time. Are you planning to take Qingtan with you? That girl is incredibly talented, and if nurtured properly, her future could be very bright. Besides, she really wants to stay by your side," Lin Xiao suddenly remarked. Upon hearing this, Lin Dong fell silent for a moment, then slowly shook his head. "What I'm about to face is too dangerous. If Qingtan were to follow me, it would only bring her misfortune. Though she has great potential, I'd rather she stay peacefully with you all. The outside world, I, as her elder brother, will face it alone." Lin Dong understood that the seed selection and the Hundred Dynasty War that followed would be fraught with peril. He couldn't even guarantee his own survival, and bringing Qingtan along would only increase the danger. "Well, since you've made your decision, we'll go along with it. Qingtan has likely had some fortuitous encounters in the past 2 years, but since she hasn't mentioned them, there's not much we can do. As for the path she chooses in the future, that will be up to her. We have no say in it," Lin Xiao said gently. Lin Dong nodded slowly. Lin Xiao paused for a moment, then lifted his head to look at his son, who was nearly as tall as he was. His face showed deep satisfaction and pride. "Take care of yourself out there. If you ever get too weary of it all, come home. We'll all be waiting for you." Looking at Lin Xiao's warm face, Lin Dong felt a slight sting in his eyes. He took a deep breath, raised his head, and gazed at the sky. Then, with a soft chuckle, he murmured to himself, "Father, it's precisely because I want to protect all of you from harm that I venture out. But right now, my strength is still not enough to accomplish that." 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Everyone in the clan was well aware of just how significant the seed selection was. If standing out at the clan assembly could make someone a prominent figure in the Great Yin Dynasty, then successfully securing a spot in the seed selection would bring them supreme glory and honor across the entire dynasty. Because that spot represented the Great Yin Dynasty's participation in the epic Hundred Dynasty War. In the center of the square, Lin Fan was arranging affairs with some elders for his departure. Not far away, Lin Dong remained with Lin Xiao and the others. He glanced around and then asked, somewhat puzzled, "Where's Qing Tan?" "That girl is sulking because you're not taking her along," Lin Xiao said with a laugh. Hearing this, Lin Dong could only smile wryly and shake his head. "Don't worry, we'll talk to her." "All right, it looks like they're almost ready. Go ahead," Lin Jintian said with a smile. Grandpa, father, uncles, take care." Lin Dong nodded firmly, then solemnly bowed to Lin Jintian and the others. This sight left some of the clan members around them in shock. In their eyes, Lin Dong had been nothing short of a fearless and incredibly arrogant person. They hadn't expected him to show such reverence before Lin Jintian and the others from the branch family. Lin Dong didn't linger. After bowing, he received the small, cat-shaped little yin from Lin Xia's arms, then turned abruptly and strode toward the center of the square. "Since everyone is ready, let's move out." Seeing that both Lin Dong and Lin Langtian had appeared, Lin Fan nodded and then let out a sharp whistle. Immediately, a deafening roar echoed from deep within the Lin clan, and a massive four-winged demonic beast flapped its wings and flew towards them, finally circling above the square at low altitude. "Let's go." With a wave of his hand, Lin Fan leaped onto the back of the demonic beast, followed closely by Lin Dong and Lin Langtian. After them, over 100 powerful Lin clan experts also boarded the beast. The imposing lineup demonstrated just how seriously the Lin clan was taking the seed selection. As everyone got on board, the four-winged demonic beast let out a low growl. Then, under the watchful eyes of many Lin clan members, it rapidly ascended into the sky and flew toward the capital. The enormous beast flew over Lin City, drawing countless gazes. Many well-informed individuals in Lin City naturally knew the purpose of the Lin clan's actions, and they were curious. Everyone wanted to know if the Lin clan could successfully secure a spot in the seed selection this time. Although Lin Dong and Lin Langtian were impressive figures, the other three great clans, as well as the royal family and other sects with deep foundations, were no pushovers. Standing out from that competition was a challenge far greater than the clan assembly. On a tall city wall in Lin City, a slender figure stood alone, gazing up at the massive demonic beast flying overhead. Her slender, jade-like hands subconsciously clenched tightly. "Humph, bad brother Lin Dong, I won't follow the path you've laid out for me." The girl lightly kicked a pebble in front of her, then tilted her delicate, spirited face upwards, staring in the direction of the giant demonic beast. She softly muttered, "So you think I'm too weak and would hold you back, huh? Even made father scold me." Though she said this, the girl's crystal-clear eyes suddenly reddened. Biting her lip, she took a deep, chilly breath, as if making an extremely important decision. "What's this? Finally made up your mind?" Suddenly, a faint voice sounded behind Qing Tan. She turned around to see a slender, shadowy figure mysteriously appearing. This figure was entirely shrouded in a black robe, with an indescribable aura of coldness emanating from them. Although the city wall beneath their feet appeared intact, it had, in reality, already turned to dust from within. "When Brother Lin Dong goes to participate in the 100 Dynasty War, I'll go with you. But if you can't make me stronger than Brother Lin Dong, you'll be a liar." Qing Tan bit her lip as she spoke to the shadowy figure, seemingly unperturbed by its presence. "Your talent surpasses that of your brother Lin Dong by a margin, but his determination is unmatched. Such resolve at his age is extremely rare. Moreover, there are many secrets within him that even I cannot fathom. However, your request should be achievable," the slender black figure responded, its form trembling slightly as a faint voice echoed out. Hearing this, Qing Tan nodded in agreement, then turned her head, clenched her delicate, snow-white fist, and raised it toward the sky. Her clear, girlish voice, tinged with a hint of annoyance, drifted softly into the air. Bad brother Lin Dong, just you wait. Next time I see you, I'll be stronger than you. I'll make your jaw drop." Lin Dong sat cross-legged atop the massive demonic beast, the fierce wind blowing toward him dissipating before it even reached a foot from his body. Around him, several powerful members of the Lin clan also sat cross-legged, but none looked at Lin Dong with any hint of mockery or disdain. The various events that had occurred recently had made them realize that the young man before them was no ordinary figure. Only fools would ridicule someone stronger than themselves, and they were certainly not fools. Of course, Lin Dong paid little attention to their gazes. His eyes were fixed on the gradually shrinking Lin City, and his hands slowly clenched within his sleeves. He knew that perhaps this time, when he left, it might be years before he returned, if at all. From now on, he would venture alone into a new world filled with dangers and opportunities. As for Lin Xiao and the others, Lin Dong didn't worry too much. Before leaving, he had secretly passed on many powerful martial arts techniques to his father. He had even handed over 2 high-grade talisman puppets. With these trump cards, Lin Dong believed that the Yin City branch of the Lin clan would surely grow stronger in the future. "Father, Qing Tan, take care," Lin Dong softly whispered, finally withdrawing his gaze and closing his eyes. He knew that to ensure his father and the others could develop peacefully within the great Yin dynasty, he had to secure a spot in the 100 Dynasty War. Only then could he leave with peace of mind. The capital city, the most revered city in the great Yin dynasty, was a place of unparalleled grandeur and majesty. Setting aside the elusive super sects, the royal family was the acknowledged ruler of the great Yin dynasty, and the capital city was the most magnificent existence within the dynasty. The capital was located in the eastern part of the Yin County, facing Lin City from afar. Although Lin City was said to be comparable in size to the capital, it was still slightly inferior. After all, no matter what, the Lin clan still held a certain level of reverence for the rulers of the great Yin dynasty. Only wise clans could truly endure through the ages. Nevertheless, whether it was the royal family, the Lin clan, the other 3 great clans, or the major sects that held significant influence within the great Yin dynasty, they all placed immense importance on the upcoming seed selection. Everyone understood the significance of participating in the 100 Dynasty War. Anyone who could successfully stand out in that war and be recognized by a super sect would not only bring fortune upon themselves, but also elevate the sect or dynasty they hailed from. In the history of the great Yin dynasty, there were several instances where a force's power skyrocketed after one of its members was chosen by a super sect. It was said that the Tianluo sect, one of the 3 great sects of the great Yin dynasty, had been an obscure, minor sect 100 years ago. However, this small sect produced an unparalleled genius who successfully qualified for the seed selection and eventually secured a spot in the 100 Dynasty War. More importantly, this genius performed outstandingly in the 100 Dynasty War and was ultimately favored by a super sect. From that moment, the Tianluo sect rose to prominence, becoming one of the 3 great sects of the great Yin dynasty within a mere century, with power equal to that of the 4 great clans. This clearly illustrates just how crucial the seed selection is to these forces. To secure a spot, they would undoubtedly send their true geniuses. These geniuses represented the pinnacle of the younger generation in the great Yin dynasty, the elites who had emerged from millions, even billions. Defeating them and successfully securing one of the 5 available spots was a daunting challenge, even for Lin Dong. Compared to the clan assembly, the seed selection seemed like child's play. It took 2 days to travel from Lin City to the capital, and during this time, Lin Dong received all the information about the seed selection from Lin Fan. From this information, he learned that although almost every notable clan or sect in the great Yin dynasty would send their strongest young talents, there were 5 forces he needed to be particularly concerned about, according to Lin Fan. The royal family, the Wang clan, and the 3 most powerful sects in the great Yin dynasty. The Tianluo sect, the Valley of Great Sorrow, and the Barbarian King sect. The geniuses these 5 forces possessed were terrifying, rivaling Lin Langtian in every way. It was evident that this seed selection would be a truly monumental battle. 2 days later, Lin Dong and the Lin clan's entourage arrived at the capital city. They rested there for 3 days, during which Lin Dong had a brief taste of the grandeur and majesty of the legendary capital. However, this brief period of calm came to an abrupt end on the 3rd day. As Lin Dong observed Lin Fan's suddenly serious and even tense expression, he knew that the seed selection was about to begin. During those 3 days, various renowned sects and clans from the great Yin dynasty arrived one after another, igniting the atmosphere in the capital. Although the seed selection was supposed to be a relatively private affair, word had inevitably leaked out. Some had calculated the timing and guessed that the event drawing so many powerful sects from across the great Yin dynasty could be none other than the fabled seed selection. As this news spread, it quickly became the hottest topic in the entire capital. Everyone was eagerly discussing which clans and sects would secure the coveted spots, while the renowned young geniuses from each faction were being scrutinized and their strengths debated. As people tried to glean insights into the upcoming competition, one thing was clear to Lin Dong. The seed selection, which Lin Fan and the others had tried to keep secret, was already the talk of the entire capital. For this journey, Lin Fan had not brought many people, just Lin Dong, Lin Langtian, and a few outstanding members of the Lin clan. They then made their way to the Imperial Palace. The seed selection was to be held deep within the palace, under heavy guard. Only the major factions were qualified to enter, and even then, the number of participants was strictly limited, as it was within the Imperial Palace, where rules had to be observed. When Lin Dong and his group arrived at the inner palace, they found that many factions had already gathered. Lin Fan was not surprised by this and led Lin Dong and the others to a designated seating area. At this point, Lin Dong finally had time to observe the venue. It was an enormous and magnificent hall, but what was peculiar was the presence of dozens of passageways surrounding it. These passageways extended deep into the hall. During the seed selection, everyone will first draw lots. You won't be drawing your opponent, but rather the number of the passageway you will enter. These passageways wind through the hall, crossing and intertwining. Ultimately, only 5 passageways lead to the final hall, and the 5 who emerge from those passageways after intense battles will earn the 5 spots to participate in the 100 Dynasty War, Lin Fan explained to Lin Dong, pointing toward the massive hall. Hearing this, Lin Dong finally understood. He then scanned the surrounding area, noticing that several other factions had already arrived. Judging by their auras, none of them were to be trifled with, though he didn't recognize any of them. The Great Yin dynasty had dozens of counties, and the factions present here were all at least the dominant forces of their respective counties, far surpassing the likes of the Yin Puppet sect and the Great Devil sect. However, among these forces, the most formidable were the 4 great clans, the royal family, and the 3 great sects. These were the forces that Lin Dong needed to watch out for. Of course, there was also the possibility of a dark horse emerging, similar to the Tianluo sect a century ago, but the chances were slim. Lin Dong sat quietly in his seat, eyes closed as he rested. However, his rest didn't last long. Suddenly, the sound of rushing wind caught his attention, and a group of figures appeared on a nearby platform. Lin Dong opened his eyes and looked toward the source of the sound. From these figures, he sensed some incredibly strong auras that caused his heart to tighten. The group that arrived consisted of only 4 people. The leader was an elderly man with white hair and a white beard. His expression was calm, but Lin Dong could sense an extremely powerful aura emanating from him, one that far exceeded the peak of the creation stage, yet was just shy of the nirvana stage. A half-step nirvana practitioner. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly. This white-haired elder was a half-step nirvana practitioner, indicating that he was capable of attempting a breakthrough to the nirvana stage. If he possessed enough nirvana pills, his chances of success would exceed 60%. That's Lu Luo, the sect leader of the Tianluo sect. See that young man in white behind him? He's one of the strongest contenders for a spot in the selection. Lin Fan's voice whispered in Lin Dong's ear as he observed the white-haired elder. Upon hearing this, Lin Dong's gaze immediately shifted to the young man in white standing behind the elder. The young man had a handsome and imposing appearance, but what made Lin Dong's expression grow serious was the fact that this person's aura had also reached the level of quasi-great completion of the creation stage. The white-robed Tianluo sword, Du Yun. Lin Dong murmured softly. During their journey, Lin Fan had informed him about the strongest young talents from each sect, and this white-robed Tianluo sword was the pinnacle of the Tianluo sect's younger generation, a true genius whose swordsmanship was said to be peerless. As Lin Dong observed the young man in white, the latter seemed to sense it. He turned his head, and his gaze met Lin Dong's. Instantly, a sharp, invisible sword aura shot out. This sword aura wasn't something the young man consciously released, but rather a natural emanation from his incredibly refined swordsmanship. Lin Dong remained calm, not moving an inch. When the sword aura reached within a few feet of him, it was as if it encountered an invisible barrier and dissipated on its own. Spiritual energy, interesting. As the sword aura faded away, a faint smile appeared on the young man's face, and he murmured to himself, Du Yun, do not underestimate that young man. If I'm not mistaken, he is Lin Dong, who has recently made a name for himself across the great Yin dynasty, even besting Lin Langtian. It's truly enviable that the Lin clan has produced two exceptional geniuses this time, the white-haired elder remarked, casting a glance at Lin Dong. Oh, so he's the Lin Dong I've heard about? He does seem to be a formidable opponent, the young man in white replied with a slight start, then smiled. Unless you are truly unfortunate enough to cross paths with him, don't go looking for trouble. Focus on securing a spot first, the white-haired elder advised. Understood. The young man in white nodded and offered Lin Dong a faint smile before withdrawing his gaze. Lin Dong also withdrew his gaze, a hint of introspection creeping into his thoughts. Witnessing such a grand assembly of geniuses, he realized how narrow his perspective had been before. These people were naturally talented and had the full backing of their sex, resulting in considerable achievements. In contrast, he had fought and crawled his way up alone, facing hardships that were far more intense than what these others had likely endured. Not long after the Tianluo sect's arrival, more and more powerful factions began to gather. Each of these factions was so influential that their mere presence could cause tremors throughout the great Yin dynasty. They were the true elites of the dynasty. As more factions arrived, Lin Dong also caught sight of the other two major sects, the Barbarian King sect and the Valley of Great Sorrow. The individuals these two sects had sent to participate in the seed selection were no less formidable than the young man in white, making them strong contenders for the selection as well. While Lin Dong was observing these competitors, he felt a gaze fixed on him from a short distance away. Is that the Lin Dong that Qingzhu mentioned before? The person watching Lin Dong was a young man dressed in dark clothing. He had a handsome face, but his brows were laced with an unmistakable arrogance, clearly the kind of person who believed himself to be a genius above all others. Standing beside this young man was a familiar figure to Lin Dong. It was Huangpu Jing from the Huangpu clan. Her eyes were also locked onto Lin Dong, filled with a certain gravity. She had heard about Lin Dong's recent exploits and was clearly surprised by how rapidly he had progressed in just 1 year. After all, at the time of the ancient desolate tablet incident, Lin Dong hadn't even been worthy of being compared to Lin Langtian. Yet now, he stood on equal footing with him. Don't get too close to him. Sister Qingzhu isn't interested in you. Huangpu Jing frowned slightly as she glanced at the young man beside her. She couldn't understand why the Huangpu clan's most talented individual had to be her arrogant cousin. In the future, I'll surely distinguish myself in the 100 Dynasty War. By then, a super sect will accept me, and I'll have the qualifications to pursue Qingzhu, the young man in dark clothing sneered. He was clearly annoyed by Huangpu Jing's attitude, but had to restrain himself because she was the clan leader's daughter. You should focus on securing a spot in this seed selection first. These competitors aren't to be underestimated. Huangpu Jing responded coldly. This time, I hope I end up in the same group as that Lin Dong kid. I want to see what's so special about him that makes Qingzhu mention him, the dark-clad youth said with a malevolent glare directed toward Lin Dong. Don't go out of your way to provoke Lin Dong, Huangpu Jing warned urgently. Humph. The young man merely snorted in response, placing his hands behind his back. He clearly dismissed Huangpu Jing's warning, having already decided that if he encountered Lin Dong, he would teach him a lesson and prove that no one else was worthy of Ling Qingzhu's attention. From afar, Lin Dong seemed to sense something. His gaze shifted, and he spotted the cold-eyed youth in dark clothing. He furrowed his brow slightly, trying to recall if there was any previous grudge between them. Finding no answer, Lin Dong simply withdrew his gaze and was about to close his eyes again when a sudden, extremely sharp and domineering golden light shot toward the area from a distance, accompanied by rolling laughter. The Wang clan has arrived. Upon hearing Lin Fan's words, Lin Dong's eyes twitched slightly, and he quickly turned his gaze toward the newcomers. He was very interested in Wang Zhong, the legendary genius of the Wang clan, who even Lin Langtian had struggled against. The golden light swept across the sky and slowly descended onto the field under the watchful eyes of many. As the golden light dissipated, it revealed three figures. The leader of the group was a middle-aged man with bare arms. His appearance was rugged, but as his sharp and domineering gaze swept across the area, an extreme sense of intensity and arrogance emanated from him. What made Lin Dong even more cautious was that this man's aura was not in the least inferior to Lin Fan's, meaning he too was a genuine Nirvana stage practitioner. The Wang clan truly lives up to its reputation as a great clan on par with the Lin clan. Lin Dong thought to himself, silently amazed by the Wang clan's deep foundation. Across the entire Great Yin dynasty, there were probably only a few forces that possessed the resources necessary to nurture someone to the Nirvana stage. Lin Dong also believed that for the four great clans, producing a Nirvana stage practitioner was likely the limit of their potential. In the Lin clan, Lin Mu had already reached the peak of the creation stage and had the qualifications to attempt to break through to the Nirvana stage. However, he had not done so, likely due to a lack of confidence, but Lin Dong suspected that even the Lin clan could no longer provide the resources needed for another creation stage practitioner to attempt the breakthrough. After all, the amount of Nirvana pills required to break through to the Nirvana stage was immense, and even for the Lin clan, it was difficult to gather such resources again. At this point, they had pinned their hopes on the 100 Dynasty War. If someone from their clan could catch the attention of a super sect, the rewards bestowed upon them would undoubtedly propel the Lin clan's strength to new heights, making it nearly unrivaled in the entire Great Yin dynasty. Of course, Lin Dong understood that many others here shared Lin Fan's hopes, so this was not surprising. As these thoughts crossed Lin Dong's mind, his gaze shifted to the two young men standing behind the bare-armed middle-aged man. One of them was Wang Yin, whom Lin Dong had already defeated. Lin Dong only gave him a brief glance before focusing on the blue-robed man beside him. This man, dressed in blue, had a calm and expressionless face. In terms of appearance, he seemed quite ordinary, but his presence immediately drew the attention of most of the people in the area. He stood quietly behind the middle-aged man, exuding an aura of sharpness and dominance that far surpassed Wang Yan's. It was clear that this man was the one Lin Fan had warned Lin Dong to be cautious of, the Wang clan's peerless genius, Wang Zhong. As soon as Wang Zhong appeared, the bare-armed middle-aged man laughed heartily, his gaze sweeping across the area before heading straight towards where Lin Fan was seated. "Haha, Lin Fan, you always arrive early, but I'm afraid you'll leave disappointed once again." Even before he arrived, the loud laughter of the bare-armed man, Wang Lei, echoed across the field. "Wang Lei, don't celebrate too soon, or you might end up regretting it," Lin Fan responded with a faint smile. "It seems you're still brooding over how our Wang clan defeated your Lin clan in the last seed selection." Wang Lei, the bare-armed man, said with a laugh. There was an undercurrent of rivalry in their words. These great clans were not particularly harmonious with one another, especially after the last seed selection, where a peerless genius from the Wang clan had defeated the Lin clan, leaving a deep sting in Lin Fan's heart. Over the years, the Wang clan had often used this incident to mock the Lin clan. "Big brother, that's Lin Dong, the one who chased me at the ancient desolate tablet and humiliated our Wang clan." As Lin Fan and Wang Lei conversed, Wang Yan's hateful gaze locked onto Lin Dong, as if he wished to tear him apart. Upon hearing this, the blue-robed man, Wang Zhong, slowly raised his head and stared at Lin Dong. His gaze was as sharp as a blade, but Lin Dong remained unfazed, his expression calm. "Hee, brother Wang Zhong, it's been a long time. I trust you've been well?" Lin Langtian, standing nearby, smiled faintly as Wang Zhong's sharp gaze fell upon Lin Dong. "Lin Langtian, I heard that even you couldn't deal with him?" Wang Zhong asked, glancing at Lin Dong. Some lowly people always try to climb up by whatever means they can, not realizing how laughable they are. "I believe this seed selection will expose his true colors. This kind of battle isn't something just anyone can participate in," Lin Langtian replied with a faint smile. "His aura isn't weak, minor completion of the creation stage. If I encounter him during the selection, I won't hold back. Wang Yin won't be beaten in vain, and I'll make sure everyone knows that those who insult the Wang clan will pay the price." Wang Zhong's voice was calm and devoid of emotion. After a pause, he added, "Of course, if you and I end up facing each other, I won't hold back either." "Haha, I look forward to it," Lin Langtian laughed, a hint of malice flashing in his eyes as he glanced at the calm-faced Lin Dong. Beside them, Wang Yin also let out a cold laugh, glaring viciously at Lin Dong. Despite the commotion Lin Dong had caused recently, Wang Yin still believed that no matter what fortuitous encounters Lin Dong had experienced, he would never be a match for his elder brother, Wang Zhong. When Lin Dong was ultimately defeated in the seed selection, Wang Yin looked forward to seeing how this arrogant fellow would react. Lin Dong ignored their conversation, but a cold, killing intent rose in his heart. Lin Longtian's constant scheming was truly hateful. Still, he didn't care what kind of genius Wang Zhong was. During the seed selection, no matter who stood in his way, he would show no mercy. If they were smart enough not to provoke him, so be it. But if they were foolish enough to pick a fight, he wouldn't mind sending the Wang clan back in tears. Shortly after the Huangpu clan's forces arrived, several other powerful factions began to gather. It seemed that nearly all the top forces of the Great Yin dynasty were now present. Suddenly, a clear chime echoed through the air. With the sound of the chime, heavily armed elite soldiers immediately surged into the area, sealing it off completely. No one could enter or leave. Seeing this, the crowd fell silent, their eyes turning toward the entrance. They knew that the true rulers of the Great Yin dynasty, the royal family, were about to make their entrance. "Haha, it's been 20 years, and yet everyone's as distinguished as ever." A loud, clear voice suddenly rang out from the entrance. A large contingent of people began to stream in, led by a middle-aged man with hair that was streaked with black and white. He wore a dragon robe that radiated a sense of majesty. He appeared to be around the same age as Lin Fan and Wang Lei, both of whom were considered significant figures in the Great Yin dynasty. However, compared to this man, they somehow seemed less impressive. After all, this man was the current ruler of the Great Yin dynasty, the royal family's hegemonic tiger, Mo Jingtian. So, this is the emperor of the Great Yin dynasty, Mo Jingtian? His aura seems even stronger than Lin Fan's or Wang Lei's. The royal family's foundation is indeed formidable. Lin Dong's expression grew serious. He could feel an intense pressure emanating from Mo Jingtian, far surpassing what he had felt from Lin Fan. It was likely that Mo Jingtian had already survived a nirvana tribulation and officially entered the first nirvana stage. Facing such a powerful figure, Lin Dong knew he had to be on high alert. Against Lin Fan or Wang Lei, who hadn't yet endured a nirvana tribulation, he could rely on his blood-spirit puppet to hold his ground. But if he had to confront Mo Jingtian, the danger level would skyrocket. "Greetings, Your Majesty." Upon seeing Mo Jingtian, the leaders of the various forces, including Lin Fan and Wang Lei, hastily bowed and spoke respectfully. "Haha, there's no need for formalities." Mo Jingtian laughed heartily, his voice booming with an undeniable pressure. He waved his hand, and a gentle force spread out, lifting all those who had bowed. This casual display of power caused Lin Fan and the others to narrow their eyes slightly. As peak experts of the Great Yin dynasty, they could all sense the immense strength behind Mo Jingtian's effortless gesture. They couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy. The royal family's foundation was indeed terrifyingly deep. For them to reach the nirvana stage, they had nearly exhausted all the nirvana pills within their clans. There were no more resources left to help them face the dreaded nirvana tribulation. But if someone from our clan can catch the attention of a super sect during this 100 Dynasty War, our clan's foundation will be replenished, and we'll have a chance to survive the nirvana tribulation and step into the first nirvana stage. With this thought, many of the leaders of the various forces felt a surge of hope. As they looked at the younger generation beside them, who were about to participate in the seed selection, their eyes were filled with expectation. Standing behind Lin Fan, Lin Dong's gaze suddenly shifted to the figure behind Mo Jingtian. There, a young man in a blue robe followed closely. This young man was exceptionally handsome, even more so than Taisher from the Tai clan. His features were so refined that even women might feel a pang of jealousy upon seeing him. Lin Dong found it hard to believe that a man could be this beautiful. As Lin Dong was momentarily taken aback by the young man's appearance, his expression gradually became more serious. As this person approached, Lin Dong could faintly sense a powerful aura flowing within him. Among these opponents, you must pay special attention to those from the royal family. They are extremely low-key, rarely displaying their strength, but their power is immense, making them formidable adversaries. Lin Dong recalled Lin Fan's warning, and his eyes narrowed. It seemed that this exceptionally beautiful young man was the royal family's representative in this seed selection. The royal family, Mo Ling in blue robes. As the most powerful force in the Great Yin dynasty, the royal family rarely displayed their full strength. However, no one dared to underestimate them. Every time the royal family participated in the seed selection, they would undoubtedly secure a spot. Over the centuries, those who represented the royal family in the Hundred Dynasty War were often the ones who caught the attention of the super sects. This was the key reason the royal family had maintained their dominance in the Great Yin dynasty for so long. According to Lin Fan, the royal family currently had no fewer than 3 strong members within the super sects. Every decade or so, a vast amount of resources was sent down to them, further strengthening the royal family's power. Unlike other forces, the royal family's talents were rarely known to the public. While geniuses like Lin Langtian were famous throughout the Great Yin dynasty, the royal family's prodigies were exceptionally low-key. Only a select few knew who the true talents within the royal family were. Of course, even though the royal family's geniuses were not widely known, even the most foolish person understood that any talent emerging from the royal family would never be ordinary. Lin Dong's gaze lowered slightly as he couldn't help but sigh inwardly. This seed selection truly lived up to its reputation as the highest-level competition in the Great Yin dynasty. The participants were all incredibly formidable. Securing one of the only 5 spots among these gathered geniuses was no simple task. As Lin Dong pondered these thoughts, the royal entourage passed by. Suddenly, the figure in a blue robe came to a stop right in front of him. Lin Dong was momentarily startled and slowly lifted his gaze, meeting an unervingly beautiful face that could easily be mistaken for a woman's. The contrast of such a face on a man gave Lin Dong an uneasy feeling. You must be the famous Lin Dong, whose name has been spreading like wildfire across the Great Yin dynasty recently? The young man in the blue robe smiled gently at Lin Dong, his manner refined and his voice soft. This made Lin Dong subconsciously glance at the young man's pale, slender throat, only relaxing slightly when he confirmed there was indeed an Adam's apple. With a hint of awkwardness, Lin Dong clasped his fists and said, "Lin Dong greets the third prince." This Mo Ling was ranked 3rd among the royal family, hence his title as the third prince. All this information had been provided to Lin Dong by Lin Fan. Mo Ling's smile was captivating, causing Lin Dong to shiver again. Mo Ling's gaze swept over Lin Dong for a brief moment before he withdrew it, murmuring, "Your reputation is well-deserved. You flatter me." Lin Dong clasped his fists again, but his heart grew wary. Just from this brief exchange, he could tell that Mo Ling's abilities likely surpassed Wang Zhong's, as expected of someone from the royal family. After saying this, Mo Ling didn't linger any longer. He quickened his pace to catch up with Mo Jingtian, who glanced at him and asked in a low voice that only the two of them could hear, "What do you think?" "He's a formidable opponent. The Lin clan has produced 2 exceptionally talented individuals this time," Mo Ling replied softly. "If you encounter him, do you have the confidence to defeat him?" Mo Jingtian asked calmly. "I have about a 60% chance," Mo Ling responded after a moment of thought. Mo Jingtian frowned slightly, seemingly dissatisfied with this level of confidence. Seeing this, Mo Ling could only shrug and say, "I always sense some peculiar fluctuations from Lin Dong. If my guess is correct, he likely has some hidden cards that we are unaware of. We must be cautious. Besides, I don't think I'll be in the same group as him." "Don't take this matter lightly," Mo Jingtian reprimanded before stepping onto the high platform. His face once again broke into a smile as his gaze swept over the crowd. In a loud voice, he announced, "Everyone, as the host, I welcome you on behalf of the entire royal family. Upon hearing Imo Jingtian's words, the leaders of the major forces below hurriedly responded with smiles and words of agreement. The seed selection, held once every 20 years, has many rules. I trust you've already explained them to the participants, so I won't waste any more words. The hall before you is the venue for the seed selection. There are various passages within it. In a moment, each participant will draw lots and enter the passage corresponding to their number. Imo Jingtian said crisply, without unnecessary formalities. As he finished speaking, he waved his hand, and a bundle of bamboo sticks, shrouded in a faint light, appeared in his grasp. Those participating in the seed selection, draw your lots. With a shout from Imo Jingtian, the bamboo sticks shot up into the sky, enveloped in light. As the bamboo sticks ascended, the sound of rushing wind filled the air as participants vied for the sticks in the sky. Seeing this, Lin Dong casually summoned a bamboo stick with a wave of his hand. Turning it over, he saw the words, "Left 9, written on it. Now that the lots have been drawn, the time has come for this year's seed selection to begin. Imo Jingtian's voice boomed as he saw the bamboo sticks all claimed. Enter the arena. As Imo Jingtian's command echoed, numerous figures shot forward, heading toward the massive hall through the passages marked by their bamboo sticks. Lin Dong, it's time for you to go as well, Lin Fan said, waving his hand. Lin Dong and Lin Langtian nodded, exchanging a glance. They both saw a hint of determination in each other's eyes. Without further delay, they each moved swiftly, darting toward their respective passages. At that moment, all the participants in the arena began to move. Within minutes, nearly everyone involved in the seed selection had entered the vast hall. Everyone, follow me to the final site. We will wait there for the 5 victors of this seed selection, Imo Jingtian said with a smile, then turned and flew toward the other side of the massive hall. Wang Lei and the other leaders of the various forces quickly followed. Lin Fan was the last to leave. His gaze lingered on the passage where Lin Dong and Lin Langtian had disappeared. He muttered to himself, since 2 tigers cannot coexist on one mountain, show me which of you is truly the stronger one. Lin Dong moved like a wisp of smoke, darting through the wide passageway with lightning speed. The light dimmed slightly as he advanced, revealing an incredibly deep and spacious corridor ahead, stretching into the unknown depths. Lin Dong was already well aware of the rules of the seed selection. By his estimation, there were likely dozens of participants, all of whom were the cream of the crop among the younger generation of the great Yin dynasty. Only by standing out among these geniuses could one secure one of the 5 coveted spots. As Lin Dong sped through the passage, the Yuan power within him began to circulate. His body tensed as powerful energies writhed beneath his skin like raging dragons. In this most prestigious competition of the great Yin dynasty, no one dared to underestimate the challenge. Any lapse in vigilance could result in an early exit. After several minutes of swift movement, Lin Dong finally reached the end of the passage. A massive iron door loomed before him. Taking a deep breath, Lin Dong knew that once he stepped through this iron door, he would be plunged into a brutal battle. If he didn't want to fail, he would have to fight his way through to the very end. And failure was not an option for him. Lin Dong's gaze sharpened. He took a decisive step forward and struck the iron door with a powerful punch. The door exploded into fragments, the iron shards turning to dust as they approached his body. With the door blasted open, Lin Dong stepped into a vast hall, its walls seemingly forged from black iron, giving off an oppressive atmosphere. Lin Dong moved cautiously into the hall, but soon halted as his eyes fixed on 2 figures standing in the center, their arms crossed and gazes cold and mocking. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he scanned the 2 men, and his pupils contracted slightly when he noticed that they were both wearing the same emblem on their chests. This meant they belonged to the same sect. According to the rules, the first round involved a 3-person match. 3 individuals from intersecting passageways would converge here, but only one could advance. Typically, the 3 participants would be from different sects, making it a free-for-all. However, there was a small chance that members of the same sect might encounter each other. This was bad news for the 3rd person, as the two would likely team up to eliminate the outsider first. And now, Lin Dong had the misfortune of encountering such a situation. In this first round, he was up against two opponents from the same sect. This was why the two men had looked at him with such pity when he entered. Facing two opponents in a one-on-two battle almost guaranteed Lin Dong's defeat. The massive black hall was dimly lit, with the flickering lights reflecting coldly off the black floor. Night pearls embedded in the towering ceiling cast bright beams that added to the oppressive atmosphere. The tension in the hall was palpable. The two men in the center, arms still crossed, watched Lin Dong's approach with cold, pitying eyes. After a moment, the man with a scar on his face finally spoke. His voice was low and raspy, commanding respect. "I know who you are, Lin Dong, the one who recently emerged in the Great Yin Dynasty. Even Lin Langtian couldn't take you down." As the scarred man's words echoed through the hall, Lin Dong's steps slowed, stopping in the center of the hall. Although he knew he had encountered a particularly unlucky situation in this round, his expression remained calm. "If I'm not mistaken, you two should be the mountain-shifting duo of the mountain sect, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu, correct? Heh, since you've heard of us, you should realize just how unlucky you are. The odds of encountering us were slim, yet here you are. Bad luck for you." The burly man beside the scarred one sneered. "Lin Dong, I know you have some skills. If we were facing you alone, perhaps neither of us could defeat you. But this time, fate has favored us by bringing us together in the first round. We've known each other for over 10 years, and when we join forces, our strength is not simply a matter of 1+1. If you choose to walk away now, we won't harm you," the scarred man said, his eyes locked on Lin Dong. The two men were more renowned in the Great Yin Dynasty than Lin Dong, who had only recently risen to fame. Over the years, the mountain-shifting duo had gained quite a reputation. Despite only being at the minor completion of the creation stage, they had once teamed up to fend off a strong opponent at the great completion of the creation stage, earning their current status. The participants in this seed selection were all formidable. None of them were pushovers. If they were, they wouldn't have made it this far. Hearing this, Lin Dong merely smiled slightly and, under the cold stares of the two men, slowly shook his head. "I'm afraid I can't back down. I'm determined to secure a spot in the Hundred Dynasty War. Even we wouldn't dare claim that we can easily secure a spot, and though you may be known for being untouchable even by Lin Langtian, I have to tell you that even he wouldn't be so certain," the burly man sneered. "He may be uncertain, but that doesn't mean I am," Lin Dong said as he extended his hand and gestured for them to make their move. "Both of you, come at me together." Upon hearing this, a flash of coldness passed through the eyes of Lu Kuei and Hu Wu. Lin Dong's stance made it clear that he had no intention of backing down. Since that was the case, they would have to force him out by any means necessary. "We've tried to persuade you, but you insist on being stubborn. Don't blame us for being ruthless." Lu Kuei and Hu Wu took a sudden step forward, and in an instant, two powerful auras erupted from their bodies. The two men were clearly well coordinated, and even their cultivation techniques seemed to complement each other. As their energies surged, they began to merge, creating an overwhelming force. Despite their harsh words, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu didn't underestimate Lin Dong in the slightest. Everyone who had made it this far was an elite among the younger generation of the Great Yin Dynasty, possessing not only exceptional talent, but also strong character and intelligence. Making the mistake of underestimating an opponent was out of the question. As their energies surged, waves of yuan power rippled out like a tidal wave. With a swift motion, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu each summoned a massive black hammer into their hands. With the hammers in hand, the two men launched themselves at Lin Dong almost simultaneously, one from the left and the other from the right, their hammers swinging with brutal force and lightning speed as they aimed to smash Lin Dong into submission. The power behind their attack was indeed formidable. As the hammers swung through the air, they caused it to crack and compress, forming deep arcs of pressure beneath them. Faced with this ferocious assault, Lin Dong didn't retreat. Instead, he stepped forward, the powerful yuan power within him roaring to life. It gathered around his body, forming swirling vortices of energy. With a calm expression, he clenched his fists tightly and punched forward. Lin Dong's fists collided with the incoming hammers, and the sound of metal striking metal echoed throughout the hall. A powerful shockwave erupted from the point of impact, causing even the specially reinforced black iron floor to crack. Under the force of the impact, the massive hammers were sent flying back. Seeing this, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu's expressions turned serious. They had not expected Lin Dong to repel their combined attack with just his bare fists. Impressive. No wonder even Lin Langtian couldn't do anything to you. Your abilities are indeed formidable. Despite their surprise, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu were seasoned warriors who relished a good fight. Seeing Lin Dong's strength only made their eyes burn with battle lust. Their bodies began to swell, and black light flickered beneath their skin as waves of powerful energy emanated from them. Demon Mountain Physique? With a shout, the two men's bodies swelled several times over, turning them into small giants. Black light swirled around them, radiating immense power. It was clear that they had both practiced a form of body-refining martial arts. So you want to compare strength? Lin Dong chuckled at the sight, quickly forming a series of hand seals. Demon Ape Transformation. As Lin Dong completed the hand seals, his body also began to swell, and a massive demon ape phantom slowly took shape around him. This time, the phantom was nearly tangible, almost indistinguishable from a real ancient dragon ape. The fierce aura it exuded was no less than that of the ancient dragon ape he had once slain. Under the towering demon ape, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu suddenly appeared much smaller. Seeing this, shock flashed in their eyes, and their expressions grew even more serious. Mountain Hammer. The two exchanged a glance, then stomped their feet hard on the ground, pulverizing the black iron floor beneath them. Their hammers also expanded in size, and with a coordinated movement, they swung their hammers down with tremendous force, smashing them into the space in front of them. The twin hammers struck the void with such force that the entire hall seemed to tremble. Then, two massive beams of black light shot out from where the hammers fell, forming a gigantic mountain that loomed above Lin Dong, threatening to crush him. The ancient dragon ape that enveloped Lin Dong's body let out a thunderous roar, a roar that sounded like a real demon ape. It then extended its massive, muscular arms and caught the black mountain head-on. The ground beneath the demon ape's feet, made of incredibly tough black iron, shattered inch by inch. The mountain formed by Lu Kuei and Hu Wu's combined martial arts technique was powerful enough to crush any practitioner at the minor completion of the creation stage. Yet, the demon ape conjured by Lin Dong's power withstood it. With a sweep of its enormous arms, the demon ape hurled the black mountain aside. Then, brilliant golden light erupted from it, coalescing into a gigantic golden platform. The demon ape grabbed the platform as a weapon and swung it fiercely at Lu Kuei and Hu Wu. Seeing the terrifying power behind the strike, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu's faces changed dramatically. They hurriedly channeled their yuan power and swung their hammers to meet the golden platform. A resounding clash echoed through the hall, followed by a shockwave of immense force that rippled outwards. The overwhelming power that surged through their arms left Lu Kuei and Hu Wu's expressions shifting from solemn to shocked. They had always prided themselves on their strength, but now, Lin Dong's power was proving to be even more formidable than the combined might of the two. As their arms grew numb from the impact, the demon ape, embodied by Lin Dong, pressed its attack. The giant golden platform spun like a windmill, relentlessly pounding towards Lu Kuei and Hu Wu. The sheer force of the blows caused the air within the hall to explode. Faced with Lin Dong's sudden and ferocious assault, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu began to regret their earlier arrogance. Only now did they realize how foolish their words had been. With another powerful sweep, the golden platform knocked the hammers from their hands and sent them flying like ragdolls against a massive pillar, their faces pale. After sending them flying with the platform, the demon ape seemed to get into the rhythm of the fight. It continued to stomp forward with earth-shaking steps, pursuing the two men. Seeing this, Lu Kuei and Hu Wu's expressions changed drastically. They quickly retreated and shouted, "You win!" At their shout, the giant demon ape finally stopped. The light around it began to dissipate, revealing Lin Dong's figure. He stretched his body, then looked at the two men with a hint of dissatisfaction and asked, "Not going to fight anymore?" Hearing this, Lu Kuei and Huwu couldn't help but flinch. They were known for their strength, but now they had been utterly overpowered by Lin Dong. Continuing to fight would only make them into human punching bags. With a bitter sigh, they weakly replied, "No more." "Haha, thanks for letting me win," Lin Dong said with a chuckle. He knew that he had successfully passed the first round,